This is information radio, and if you download music for free, watch out. The Canadian government wants to introduce a law to stop illegal downloading. But one man has launched his own fight against the proposal. Michael Geist is the Canada Research Chair in Internet and E-commerce Law at the University of Ottawa. Good morning.
Good morning.
So what exactly would this law mean for people who download music?
Well, I think we ought to be careful, actually, when we characterize the changes they're proposing as dealing with downloading. First of all, downloading in Canada is arguably legal, given that we have a private copying levy, a levy on blank CDs that's generated more than $200 million in revenue. What the law would really do is, I think, impact consumers in many ways. We're taking things like our CDs and our DVDs and our cell phones and restrict the way that we can use them. If you have a locked cell phone, the act of unlocking it could become illegal. If you have a DVD you purchased abroad that's region coded to a particular country, say Europe or Asia, the act of trying to play it on your own DVD player would become an infringement. Or if you have a copy-protected CD, the act of trying to put that music onto your iPod would become an infringement. So it's less about dealing with the downloading and peer-to-peer issue, and much more, I think, about what it will mean for consumer rights.
How would they even legislate that? Like if I bought a CD and want to put it on my own iPod?
Right. Well, what they do is, there are similar laws in the United States, so we kind of have a good sense of what these laws could mean. It would be to create a whole new set, in a sense, of copyright laws. These products are protected by digital technologies or digital locks, and the act of picking the digital lock, using a computer program to unlock something that's been locked, would itself become an infringement. So even though it's your own personal property, the act of trying to unlock something would now become against the law.
So what are you doing to fight the proposed legislation?
Well, I've been encouraging a lot of people to get educated about the issue, write their MPs, and most importantly, I suppose, write the ministers, Minister Jim Prentice, the industry minister, and Minister Verner, who's the Canadian Heritage Minister. And one way to try to educate people and encourage them to get more active was through Facebook. And so almost somewhat innocuously, I started a Facebook group called Fair Copyright for Canada, a group designed to focus on the need for some real balance and fairness with respect to what the government was going to do. And it attracted an enormous amount of interest. It started with 100 people, 1,000 people within a week, 10,000 people. And now, just over a month after it started, there's over 36,000 Canadians actively involved.
Why personally, for you, what motivates you to actively get involved with this?
Well, I'm concerned about it from the perspective of a consumer, of course. I'm concerned about it from the perspective as an educator. When I think about the restrictions this will create for some of my students, I'm deeply troubled because I think of them moving towards things like electronic books, which is increasingly happening. If those books are locked down, their basic fair dealing rights for research and for private study are going to be restricted.
But shouldn't downloading music for free be a crime?
Well, again, in Canada, we're dealing with laws that have found, in a sense, a way to compensate for downloading of music. If you've got a levy system where there's compensation going to the artists, going to the industry, that's in many ways the best of all worlds. We've got many artists in Canada, some of Canada's best-known artists, like the Bare Naked Ladies and Avril Lavigne, Sarah McLachlan, who have come out against this kind of legislation. We've had the Songwriters Association of Canada also come out against this kind of legislation, and they're looking for alternatives. And in fact, Canada already has some of those alternatives.
And thank you for being with us this morning.
Oh, thanks for having me.
That's Michael Geist. He's the Canada Research Chair in Internet and E-commerce Law at the University of Ottawa. If you want some information on what we're talking about, the Fair Copyright for Canada, you can read Michael's blog at michaelgeist.com.